I'm out of the whole music scene. Do people like Drake?
People consider him probably the best rapper of all time right now.
He's also in an era though where like a bunch of rappers aren't like once you hit the top you don't get shot. You know what I mean? So he's like okay.
True.
He's like
So he's better than Mace.
And he's also in an era where it's like. Ironically, even though we're bringing this up, I feel like it's I don't know, maybe we've been talking about it for so long, and I feel like now that it's happened, for some reason it didn't seem as cool as it was gonna be, but there was this fight that Tommy Fury fought Jake Paul.
Oh, yeah!
I feel like we should talk about that.
He finally lost, right?
He did lose. He blamed Drake, and that makes sense.
I'll tell you what, I didn't watch the fight, and I was one of those guys that was like, okay, this is his first real boxer, he's gonna fight, he's gonna be tested. And after he lost, I actually like him more because of what he said. So what he said was, he's like, he didn't have like some like poor sport excuse or anything like that. He goes, you know what? He outboxed me that night. I took it on the chin. And he goes, don't judge me by my wins, judge me by my losses and see what happens. And I'm like, I actually really like the way like he portrayed himself after, because I thought, you know, with this like douchebag image, you would think, oh fuck that guy, the ref, and then this and the fucking slippery fucking ground and like all kinds of bullshit. He just kind of took it like a man, and I'm like
an actual regular fighter.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what if he comes back from it.
But you say he blamed Drake after?
Because Drake bet on him, and there's a Drake betting curse.
Real, that's funny.
Does he bet on Izzy, right? Or
dude, Drake is like 0 for 5 for all the
on big bets.
Really? Yeah. If he bets on you, you're losing.
I bet he didn't bet on the Chiefs, huh?
He bet on like Jorge Masvidal. He bet on like just all these people that have like Izzy. The fact that Izzy lost in the 5th round like that in his last title fight.
Yeah,
pretty
when
crazy.
He was winning.
Yeah,
when he was winning.
He was winning.
Yeah, I'm out of the whole music scene. Do people like Drake?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like Drake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you like Drake?
People consider him. People consider him probably the best rapper of all time right now.
What?
Yeah.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
He passed. Didn't he like win the top like sales?
I think in terms of lyricism, sales, like artistry, what he's been and how long he's been able to dominate.
Longevity, yeah.
Multiple decades.
He's so relevant
consider
every
him
year.
like. And
he's also in an era though where like a bunch of rappers aren't like once you hit the top you don't get shot. You know what I mean? So he's like okay.
True.
He's like
so he's better than Mace.
And he's also in an era where it's like.
Hey, no, he's not better than Mace.
I like Mace, dude.
You also got to think about like the distribution era too, right? Like it's like the fact that he's alive during a time where we have things like Spotify. So when you're talking about platinum or record sales, the numbers are completely different, right? It's like how what was it? I think it was the Post Malone Sway Lee Spider-Man song.
Oh yeah.
That one won like 15 platinum or something like that, and that's like Sway Lee jumping on a track. Yeah. And it's like now you can like out of nowhere because of some like you know, which rightfully so too, like well deserved in a different way, but like just through like anomalies or viral sensations, you can be like the #1 charter of all time musically just because the distribution methods are way crazy.
But at the same time, he's for the culture. Like he goes to all the battle rap fucking things. Like he's about like bars and shit. Like
and
he's not just a
he also
musician.
collabs with all these up and comer rappers that nobody's ever heard of, and he kind of puts them on, you know. So I think a lot of people.
He's putting
like
on all
him
these
for that.
UK guys.
That's what I mean.
Those guys.
1, 2 plus 3.
Yeah.
Quick math.
That African UK style stuff is pretty dope, dude.
I kind of really like
he
it.
put them on because they're just their own little subculture with no mainstream shine.
So he put them on to the world in America and all that?
Yeah.
Oh. Dang, man.
That one song where he goes, "How can I be homophobic? My bitch is gay."
Oh yeah, my bitch is gay.
Love it, love it. And it makes it better because he has a UK accent for sure. You know what I mean?
UK accent makes it really cool.
And guys in rap songs, they can get away with saying crazy shit that no one else could ever get away with.
Have you listened
They're
to any Too
uncancelable.
Short stuff recently?
Oh, dude.
He's talking about how like he's like his homie's sister is like 15 and he can't resist. And I'm like,
bro,
what?
It's crazy.
I'm like, man, some of these letters are crazy.
Yeah.
Too Short's always been nuts though.
Rap gets a major pass.
Yeah. You can't get rid of these guys. But anyways, back to the Jake Paul fight. Did anybody watch it?
Highlights.
I just watched the one highlight of him dropping Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I watched a couple clips.
But you didn't actually pay-per-view it, right?
No, I couldn't even find a good stream either. An illegal stream I couldn't find. But I do think from the exchanges that I saw, Tommy Fury did land the bigger punches, the more punch combinations. I think he had more control of the fight overall. But it's not like Jake Paul is like, he's no buster.
How does
He's
he
good. He's
feel
great.
though, barely beating a YouTuber? You know what I mean? If you're a boxer and you barely,
But I think
like,
you can make the
ooh.
argument that even though like Tommy Fury's a boxer, I think boxers in the game
They don't look at
wouldn't
him.
really look at Tommy Fury as a boxer. He's a Love Island guy. You know what I mean?
Why is that?
Well, because like he's part of the prestigious Fury family, but
his brother's like one of the goats of the heavyweights.
of course he's the GOAT right now. But as far as he's probably seen more as a reality star and a personality. And if he's at boxing fights, but a lot of people say like, dude, you haven't fought anybody. But it's also part of the culture of boxing where when you're coming up, they kind of want you to fight lower level
Yeah, the
fighters.
Packer record.
Right.
And that's just the culture of it anyway. So there's a lot of criticism there. He's definitely a boxer, but I think in a lot of people's eyes, he's like, he's not a real boxer.
He's not the boxer.
Yeah, and I think for him, Jake Paul is legit.
He's putting in his work, man.
Yeah, bro, he's legit. You can't deny the
It's like, how much more can he really do until you...
Relative to that conversation, and I'm asking as a non-fighter, so I really wanted to ask.
as well as me. We're just fans
You're such
here.
a professional.
I'm a professional boxer. Tell me, ask me anything.
Like, for example, when you're talking about like Patton, like where's like Brandon Lee right now? Because I feel like, you know, we see him. I mean, he's been on the show. He's like super undefeated, and I feel like the kind of common conversation when we're always talking about his fights and stuff. Obviously, he's dope. He's dominating, but it's always like he's fighting somebody that's lesser skilled.
Not always. He got dropped in his last fight.
Yeah, but I think that's just part of the nature of fighting, right? It's like no matter what.
Like, is there when you talk about padding fights, is there like a moment where it's like, okay, time to, like, when is that moment?
I don't think so. From what I understand of the boxing world, there's a couple of routes that people take, and I think this is kind of like the magic of boxing, if you will, where there's a lot of different routes that you can go. So like UFC has like a way more, and I think the reason why UFC has grown so big, it has a very like scalable and forecastable trajectory. You get into an MMA gym, you do whatever, and then you have these agencies they'll put you on. Boxing right now, it's like half fighting and half entertainment. So it depends on the route that you want to go. So if you go the entertainment route, you have Jake Paul, you have all the like the gamers, all the streamers and whatever, and those guys are making more money than a lot of these like legit fighters. I think Brandon comes from the pedigree of actual fighting. So previous to even his like 20-something and 0 record, he's already had like 200 fights since he was like fucking 10 or something. So he's a tradition, like he would be in the same route as the guys that won Golden Gloves, Olympics. Like he's in the traditional boxing realm. So I don't think any of his fights have been padded. The other ones, they'll literally like, let's say if you have a fight in Mexico, they'll go like, hey cab driver, I'll pay you $300. You down to just, you weigh the same weight? And they'll do that. So some of those guys,
Cab driver.
yeah, literally, you look them up and you're like, what the fuck? I've never even seen this guy. This guy has a 0-0 record. And they'll put 4 or 5 of those guys in front of you to go, hey, my fighter right here is 10-0, but it's 10 cab drivers.
That's not just the culture in boxing. That's the culture in MMA as well. Like everyone,
Cab drivers fight MMA?
dude.
They will,
Let me
dude.
tell you, bro. We got some wild stories. Well, we like when you first go from amateur to pro. A lot of the times, it's like you go to these like really low level, like promotions where you're fighting
At a restaurant or like a Elks Club.
An Acapulco.
Ukrainian Cultural Center?
probably
I've seen shit like that, dude.
or Indian reservations, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, like one of our first guys who made the jump from, and this is in MMA, he fought from, he was going from amateur to pro, his first fight pro. We fought in Saboba Casino. And it wasn't a casino at all. It was like the Saboba, and the Saboba was like a Indian reservation in like past Riverside, like past Hemet.
It's not a cool drink.
No, I wish. I wish. It's a Sobe and boba with it. Sobe with boba. Yeah, dude, it's pretty
Honey
tight.
Saboba.
Nah, but it's like it's especially when you're first coming into the scene, and this is just like kind of standard practice. It's like you fight someone who's a kind of a low level pro, or it's just your first jump, and a lot of the times you just never know what's gonna happen. So, for instance, for this guy, he was gonna fight pro. The fighter pulled out like the day of the fight, so they couldn't find anybody. right? And we're at an Indian casino. We're warming up in like a recreational center in the bathroom. Like that's where we were warming up. This guy's taking a shit and I'm holding pads for somebody. And it's ridiculous.
You know that guy's pissed too. Can you stop? I'm trying to concentrate.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it smells like shit, and then we're taping his hands, and we're like, get in the zone, you know? We're fucking putting Vaseline on his eyes, whatever the fuck. Anyway.
But it smells like shit in here.
And then like literally 20 minutes before the fight, and because the reason why they fight on the Indian reservation is because we don't necessarily need. Yeah, there's no rules. We don't need an athletic commission to make sure everything is like good to go. An athletic commission by the state. It's a state-run government thing. They come by, they make sure they have the doctors, they have the judges, they have the referees. Everyone is trained to make sure that this is okay and legal to go. On an Indian reservation, you don't need any of that.
It's a dude with latex gloves just standing there.
Like the fight start, a guy from Rite Aid comes in with like, I mean, one of the refs comes in with a Rite Aid bag, just filled with Vaseline, like gloves, just like random shit. That's like, okay, this is crazy. Anyway,
So you could put a roll of quarters in your glove.
you kind of could. Nobody would know.
know.
Nobody would really know. Anyway, so the guy pulls out 20 minutes before the fight. So we're like, we need an opponent. He's gonna fight in like an hour or so. So we're asking around. They're going to the crowd. Hey, you guys want to fight for like $200? Hey, you want to fight for $200? No one's saying yes. They go to a cornerman. A cornerman is pretty much my role in this situation, where he's going to coach one of his buddies who's going to fight. They go, hey man, you want to fight? He's like, hell yeah, I'm down. This guy fights in cargo shorts, which isn't. If this is athletic state commission, this is not legal. This is not legal at all. This motherfucker comes out, and he's a fighter himself, but he wasn't training for a fight. He just was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm down. So we fight this guy. My buddy fights this guy. He beats him up, but it's like such a wild fucking thing because 20 minutes ago he was like, I'm not.
Was that guy Eddie good?
I'm sure he was pretty good, but like. Not like he just wasn't at that level. Like I'm sure he was good, but just not on that night.
I just imagine the cook coming out, like, I'll fucking do it. Yeah. The waiter's like, all right, hold my apron and shit.
And every time we go to this promotion, it's like the wildest shit we see. One time we were walking out, and there's a stable of fighters that fight for this promotion that live in Saboba, that area, and they just get hired to fight pros when fights fall out like this.
They just need someone to step in.
Yeah, and they're not really fighters. They're not really like, they're fighting.
They're like substitute teachers.
Like, yeah, dude.
Are they Native Americans?
No. I don't think so, no. We didn't really see anybody. Maybe some of them had native blood, but I don't know. I don't think so.
That's the part of, I think, the fight game that people don't understand. At the end of the day, it's an entertainment event. So the show must go on. So having people actually fill the shoes is actually more important than having a legitimate fight. But that's also why I think Brandon, like, people will be like, oh, how come he doesn't jump on these like big card fights? I don't think he wants to. I think he's trying to build his legacy. So all his fights, if you see, they're under Showtime.
Yeah, I have seen.
Yeah, they're like one of the most legit like boxing like.
They're probably the
promotions out
biggest
there.
boxing promotion right now.
Yeah, so for him, I think he's like, I don't
Traditional legacy fighting.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. I want to like work my way up in this realm, and then maybe later on have it pay off in a certain way. Whereas like Jake Paul and stuff, I think they're just trying to do the fast track. So they're like doubling down on the more entertainment aspect.
And I think for him too, he's fighting legit boxers, but it's getting to a point now where it's like, okay, he's probably looking for the next big fighter that's equal to where they're at in their career that also has a name, so then they can fight each other and build each other's name up as they go on. Like, I'm sure Brandon Lee's going to fight some big names soon. Like, it's just a matter of just getting two people to agree to fight. That's the hardest part, because everyone's got something to lose now. You know, so Brandon Lee might be looking for big names, but these guys don't want to fight Brandon Lee because it's a big risk. So they'd rather fight maybe somebody else. So it's like, there's a lot of politics in it too. So...
And is that just basically like your manager that like does all those negotiations?
It's your manager, it's the promotion, and in boxing...
But it's not necessarily like there's like a records book that like, it's like, oh, now it's time, you know?
Yeah, no, it's not really.
Anything could happen. That's why I think the UFC, although they get a lot of hate, they're one of the most organized in terms of matchmaking. That's the part of it that it's called. Like one of my friends, Steffi, she just had a fight in Montebello.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
she was supposed to, and that person just dropped out, didn't want to fight.
Just
pretty much
didn't show up.
Yeah,
and that happens a lot.
Really? They just bail?
Yeah, it happens a lot.
What's wrong with this generation not coming to their job interviews?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, it happens a lot.
Dude, you know how out of touch I am? When you first brought up Brandon Lee, like, oh, what about Brandon Lee? In my mind, I'm going, dude, he died, bro.